So now we don't know which stars make more planets, but we do have some guesses. So there are two ways to find planets. One is to try to detect the gravity of the planet as it moves around the star. So as the planet moves around the star, it will pull the star back and forth ever so slightly. Right? If the planet's over here, the star will move this way. If the planet's there, it'll move this way. If the planet's there, it'll move this way. And so as a planet orbits the star will have a small motion as the planet orbits it. We can detect that motion from the Doppler shift of radiation. It's just like a car coming at you. The pitch of the waves is shorter when the thing is approaching you. The pitch of the waves are longer when the thing is moving away from you. We see that in the light emitted from the spectral lines in the stars. Right? So we can detect those motions. And from this technique, we found that many, many stars have planets. There's a new technique now where you just wait for a planet to go in front of the star. The planets aren't bright like stars are, and so there's an eclipse. And so the light from the star will suddenly dip when the planet goes in front because it's blocking out some of that bright starlight behind it. That's called the transit method, and the idea is, okay, just look at a bunch of stars out in space, look at them all the time, and wait for the planets to pass in front. So what you'll see is a little dip in the amount of light, and then you wait a year, 2 years, 10 years, it depends on how long it takes the planet to go around, and you'll see another little dip. And you wait another 3 years, and you'll see another little dip. Now there had been there was a space mission called Kepler that did this, and basically looked at a big chunk of sky all the time and just waited for the planets to pass in front. From this, we know that there are many stars with planets. They come in various sizes and various temperatures. We see very faint, cool stars that have planets. We see stars like the sun, medium hot stars, medium mass stars that have planets. I haven't seen many planets around very large stars, but they would be really hard to detect because the dip in the light would be too small to detect with the transit mass, and the wobble would be really hard to detect from these guys. So we don't know if the big massive stars have planets, but we know solar type stars have planets. Now there's some indication that the more heavy elements a star has, the more likely it is to have planets. And that makes sense because things like rocks and metals are made out of heavy elements like carbon, and nitrogen, oxygen, silicon, magnesium, aluminum. Not all stars have the same amount of these heavy elements. We call them metals in astronomy, although anything heavier than helium is called a metal. There's some indication that the more metals the star has in its spectrum, the more heavy elements that you can detect from that star, the more likely it is to have planets. So where do you look to find exoplanets? Anywhere. Essentially every star, we think, or many stars, have planets. Now, we don't see all the planets because sometimes they're hard to detect. If you're looking for the transit, the planet has to pass directly in front of the star. So it has to be in the orbit of that planet has to be in the plane of your line of sight toward that star. If it's orbiting this way, we'll never pass in front of it, so you'll never see it. So we don't know that every star has planets, but it's pretty certain that most stars have planets. And most stars we're beginning to see, many stars have many, many planets. And so it looks like solar systems are quite common. And so it's not like the Earth is a special place or the Sun is a special star system. And every time we've thought that we're in some place special, we've gotten into trouble. We used to think the Earth was the center of the universe. No, it's the center of the solar system. No, the Sun is the center of the solar system. We used to think the Sun was the center of the Milky Way. No, the Sun wasn't the center of the Milky Way. We used to think the Milky Way was all there was and it was the center of the universe. And no, the Milky Way is one of millions and possibly infinite numbers of galaxies. So this idea that Earth is somehow special is a bias. It's a fallacy. It's making ourselves think that we're more important than we are.